Up next on Usala Media, American Immigrant, with your host and comedian, Che Guerrero. An immigrant himself talks to people who have come to America in pursuit of their dreams, but due to the changing atmosphere of America, describes how they are maneuvering through these turbulent times.
Welcome to another episode of American Immigrant. I'm your host, Che Guerrero. Today we're changing up the dynamic a little bit. Our two regular co-hosts have their own things they're taking care of today, but I'm very excited to be joined by two of my favorite people. Once again, Kapil's here with us.
Hold on.
I think it might be a little closer to the mic.
No. Oh, whoa, wait, yeah. How is my voice?
Is it coming in good?
Do I gotta get for it?
Dylan.
I gotta stay like this the whole. Oh man.
As always in the booth, Dylan. Say hi, Dylan, just so people would like.
How's it going, everybody?
There we go. And one of I said this when I saw her, one of the people that I feel like I need to speak to you every few months just to cleanse my soul. My soul. Kat Mosley.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. I will be the cleanup woman whenever your co-hosts need a little break. I will just come in here.
I told you this, I've always wanted to figure out a project for us to do regular, and we still haven't gotten around to it, but I feel like we're going to find something.
I think we are, yes, please. Because we keep coming back. Our subject matter just keeps coming. Yep.
If you
right
guys
back.
did like an American Immigrant for my people crossover,
Exactly.
Yeah.
which I guess this is kind of what this is.
Are you bringing back For My People?
I am.
Do you want to tell them,
yeah.
real, because I love this idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's start there.
So, For My People is a comedy game show. It's a game of stereotypes and monoliths.
I lost.
And you did.
I
But did we let you stay on your team, right? Or did
No,
we
no,
kick
no,
you?
you
We
made me
kicked
move.
you off your team.
Yeah, well, explain
Okay.
the premise.
So what I do is I get two teams of marginalized groups, and
Yeah.
the show is cast with comedians. So two teams of marginalized groups go head to head, and then the winner of that round faces a team of white dudes in the second round.
I love
You gotta
it.
climb the social ladder.
I love that. I think, wait, am I wrong for thinking one show you did like attractives?
Oh
versus-
my goodness.
By the way, I was so
Attractives versus Asians. Yes.
What?
That was my show.
Was it?
I was on the Asian team, and then we won against the attractive people, and then I got kicked off to the white team.
So somebody messaged me and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do For My People? It's attractives versus Asians."
tell
And I
me.
went, "Wait, which team do you want me on?" She was like,
didn't
"I'm
tell
technically
me.
for attractives," and I was like, "Whoa, what?" I mean, I know I'm not Asian, but I thought maybe they'd be like,
That's
But
how you
just
did.
making
That's how you
sure.
did it to me. You didn't tell me what team I was on until I got there. You just asked me what to do the show. I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know which one it is.
"Oh my
It
god."
was Asian. It was Asian.
But that's exactly what I'm doing. That uncomfortable stuff. I think I know that those uncomfortable things have power over you
Yeah.
if you don't go ahead and confront them.
Yeah.
They start to run you from behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And so even that, something as silly as attractives versus Asians forces us into like that awkward
Be like, wait, why are Asian
thinking.
people, why are you doing like that?
Exactly,
Yeah. Like
like
when Steve
Asians can
Harvey
be
said like,
attractive.
"Oh,
Yeah.
ain't no women like Asian men." And you're like, that's an old racist stereotype.
Yeah, which has never been true.
No.
We have a lot of people who are 100% Asian out here, and I know the Jurassic Park theory, but like, no, people are getting with their
what's the
men.
Jurassic Park theory?
That oh really? That a species will figure out a way to survive. So the very first Jurassic Park, I guess
Yeah.
like 30 years ago.
Oh my god.
They were like,
oh
we're
my
fine.
god.
They're not gonna reproduce and destroy us all. We're fine. They're
Because
all
they
female.
they were all female. Oh,
Yeah.
Man. Let's go watch
Y'all ain't
Jurassic
paid
Park.
attention to females at all if you think you can stop us. You're going to figure it out.
Females will always find a way.
Yes. And they figured it out.
Which is
Yeah.
actually why I like to stick with females a lot more in my life than men.
Listen.
I do. I love it. Men are evil in their way that they view other people. You know what I mean? If you're not valuable to them, then they just dispose of you, which is how I felt from men my whole life. But women are always like, "You're a human being. I love you."
Yeah. And I've been watching men. There is a way that I see like male belonging control men and keep men from like the experience that you're talking about.
Somebody actually asked me the other day, they were like, "Do you identify as," actually, it's my partner Amy. She was like, "Do you identify as a man?" And I was like, "Why are you asking me that as my partner?" She was like, "No, because of the they, them, she, and you're changing your name." I'm like, "I'm wondering how you're viewing your gender." And I was like, I think I identify as a man, but not in the traditional sense that like I'm handy and I know how. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
even know what you're
can't
asking me because
figure
it's
it
so
out.
confusing of a question right now.
You can't what?
He said like not in the traditional sense that you're like handy or whatever. You know, I can't fix anything, man.
Yeah.
I'm not handy. Like I can cook. You know, I got you on the kitchen front.
Yeah.
But like if you need that thing built or that car fixed, like, well, boy, we call it a professional.
Yeah.
From the outside, what I'm finding that it means to be a man is like I will be out with Brian, who is my partner.
Right.
You're listening on it. Y'all don't know
Yeah.
who I roll with. Okay, so Brian's my partner, and he happens to be a white man. I'm a black woman. And men will assume that they can just walk up to Brian and engage him in conversation, even interrupting a conversation that we have. Like,
Right.
I've seen this male thing play out all over the place, where they know that they have access to him and can pull him away from paying attention to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of maleness is men first. It really is
It
bros
really is.
before hoes
Yeah.
out
Oh,
here.
yeah. I mean, the amount. I mentioned this before, but the amount of comfort that people I guess the way people cross the line with a woman in public, it's just unbelievable. Like one time I was just speaking to like a barker, a female barker at a show, and some random guy just comes up to this girl and goes, "Hey, sweetie, do you know where this venue is?" But the entire time he just put his hand on her lower back,
Lower back.
and caressed it, and then walked away. And I go, "Do you just allow that?" And she goes, "I didn't even know he did it," because I think she's so used to just
So much
being
touch.
touched by men that it was just not even something that was registering with her. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna put their hand on my lower back
Yeah.
and be like, "Yo, bro,
Yeah.
let me talk to you for a minute." That would just be, that's a level of comfort that right there I was like, oh my goodness, I am so lucky
Yeah.
as a man that there's a level of comfort that just other human beings just know not to cross a line.
Well, so I have like a weird question. I know like culturally, like some cultures are much more physical like that, but for instance, like I just had a similar.
This was a white
experience.
man, so I don't know how
Okay.
cultural he.
Right.
No,
just
well,
came
so
right after her.
I just had so
Culturally, he feels like he owns everything.
I'm working at this. I'm not gonna say the name of the
No.
restaurant, but I'm working
Yeah,
at
please
this
don't.
Spanish.
It's not gonna be good.
I'm working at this Spanish restaurant right now, and it was the same thing happened. We have a couple of attractive female hosts at the front stand, and this one host is newly single, right? And there's two guys that we work with that are just constantly flirting with her. But every time this one dude comes up to her, he always puts his hand on her back. It's the upper back, but it's like every single time. And I went up to her, I was like, "Yo, what's up with you and this guy?" She's like, "Nothing, we're just friends." I was like, "I don't know. That seemed a little more than friendly."
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know. But like she just like brushed it off like it wasn't a thing. I was like, that doesn't seem weird. That doesn't seem creepy to her.
Yeah.
And she was, I don't know.
It just doesn't register
just- it was
sometimes.
I mean,
weird.
different touches are definitely different. Sorry to speak on behalf of all women everywhere.
Right.
I
No,
get
you're
it.
right.
No, but I'm
Touches
saying, like,
are
just how you're-
different,
It just seemed weird. Like I would never
but
go
I
up.
am feeling unsettled here.
Yeah, I would never go up to a girl. Like the only time I've like put my hand on a woman's back, it's like if I'm trying to move, like excuse me, miss, and like I'll touch like the shoulder. You know, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to get by or something. You know, but like
I remember in high school, like, being Spanish, like, guys would go up to girls all the time and kiss them on the cheek or whatever.
Yes.
And just do it to everyone. I found more pride in when a girl would come and try and kiss me because I'm like, oh, you feel comfortable with me. So that meant more to me than just the fact that dudes would just do it. Oh, what up? Hey, you so-and-so girl? What up? Nice to meet you. I'm like, hey, you just met her?
That is a cultural thing that I've learned is the kissing thing.
Yeah.
But I thought that we weren't assuming that we could make contact with people's bodies all over the place. But yeah. What this takes me into is like, okay, so I've lost weight. So I've lost a significant
yes, you
amount
have.
of weight.
Congratulations.
Thank
You've
you.
been putting that
You
work
look
in,
great.
girl.
Thank you. I have, yo.
Yeah.
I have invented the fucking the
Back up.
fun
Dylan got you. Dylan got you.
the
Dylan
fun
got you. Look at
cooker.
that. He was just like, yeah, I got that. I got that. I
About the
beeped
fun
it.
cooker.
Dylan's a man. I love him.
I invented the Fitbit. Is what I'm trying to.
Yes,
invented
the Fitbit.
So on the big girl side, when I would hear average size and small girls talk about how hostile this world was out
Yeah.
here, I was a little bit like, be quiet. Yo.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get cast in a video. Shut up.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
be quiet. But I'm actually getting how hostile this world is toward women's bodies.
Yeah.
And not only from men, there is a weird rank and file thing that happens even with women. There's
Yeah,
a bizarre hostility.
I was on a road gig with Oprah Keys. Like, I love her. I think she's so funny. And she was venting to me. She's like, "Can I talk to you about something that I feel like I can't really vent about?" And I was like, "What's up?" She's like, she's also lost a lot of weight. And she goes like, "I feel like sometimes losing weight is the worst thing that happened, because now guys who used to be my friends, now I feel like I can't even trust them because the dynamic has changed just because I lost a few pounds." And I'm like, "Yo, you sexy thing, what are you talking about?" I'm kidding, I didn't say that. But you know what I mean? Like,
What you got?
no, and I'll be honest with you. Look, I'll be real. I'm gonna speak real. I also started to view Oprah differently. I'm serious. I'm not
She's
gonna
an
lie.
attractive woman.
She's
Objectively, she is an attractive woman.
But I said that, and I was like, "Oh man, yeah, like, I'm so sorry for, like, my dynamic in my mind changed, that I feel it changing, and I feel terrible." Like, and it made me like be like, I need to just see you as the amazing comedian and human that I've seen you as always.
Word.
You know, and not change my flow because all of a sudden my view changed. You haven't changed. My view changed.
I didn't know that she lost weight, because I had met her as she is now, like a year or two ago. And then, just reaching out, like, I followed her on Instagram, and I saw that she had posted a whole bunch of pictures from her. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Wow, but I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's also, she feels the hostility from other women.
Yes.
Men have changed their attitude. And I'm like, that has got to be so painful to build a friendship with someone and then know that they want something else from you.
Ooh, all right, I'm about to geek out. Okay,
No,
so
please.
attention is an aspect of love. If you look up the 5 A's of love,
Okay.
attention is one of them. So attention, acceptance, allowing, affection. There are all these A's
that's
involved in
beautiful.
love.
Yeah.
So with weight loss, I'm getting more of something that seems like love, but there's no love in it.
There's
It
no
is bizarre.
love in it.
There's a ton of hostility in it. There is entitlement. I'm wondering, after a few months, I was like, I wonder if this is I feel like Prey a lot more. There's this experience of someone not being able to get. There's a weird tension sometimes in interactions. But what bothers me even more is, as a big girl, you live that merit-based life, yo.
What do you
They
mean?
are around you because you earned it.
Yeah.
So when I got laughs on stage, the audience was laughing against their prejudices. You know what I mean? They were relaxing into me and my funny. And now I get on stage and those laughs come so much more easily. Some of the material is the same. And frequently the way that they eat it up is just different. Like, I'm actually experiencing, and yes, maybe my comedy has changed.
Yeah, I mean, don't sell yourself short. Like, I'm sure as a
I'm
comedian,
working. Yeah.
I mean, you've been going, over this past year. Like, you've also improved as a comedian.
I've also been
this past
grinding.
year,
Yeah. I've also been taking myself through it. But there is, and even an audience member said to me, "You seem so much more confident these days." Listen, y'all, there have been events in this community. I'm not famous, and I've had death threats. Somebody tried to fight me at a show on Saturday. We lost Chris Cotton.
Again?
Not Saturday, Sunday. Yes.
The
Again.
same guy?
I know.
At
I love
Fergie's
it,
again?
y'all. Oh my
We were both like, wait, again?
At Fergie's again, y'all. Fergie's
the
is a
same
safe
person?
space.
What?
No.
Now what did you do? But what was
I gotta
the
start coming back
situation?
to the Fergie's mic on Sunday.
Okay, you got to come.
I close out the restaurants. I don't even get done normally till
All right.
like 11 or so.
Okay, we'll do a small break. I want to come back to that story, and then we'll do the news cycle. So let's just take a small 2-minute break, because I want to know what happened to you.
I love that again.
All right, we'll be back. That's a perfect clip.
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model.
From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
What a nice little meditation.
I love
we
it.
just
We
did.
did.
Thank you.
I love
We
venting
did.
between.
We
We
did.
gotta do like the Daily Show, like between the commercials. We'll be like, "This is how I feel." And
Exactly.
a little cursing. So, yeah. So going back to what you were saying about the hostility you felt like last week, like what was the circumstances? Because I don't be like when you say what did you do,
Yeah.
makes it sound rude, like it's your fault. But what was the situation?
Oh my goodness! Thank you for catching that. It's amazing how violent people are in language without realizing
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Because often in the why, I think at some point people are going to think it's about me that these fights keep happening,
No.
and I'm willing to talk about that because I do my anti-racism reading. So like I'm willing to talk about
That's
what it
stands
is
from
in
the
me that's
beginning
bringing.
is what, yeah.
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 Anti-racism, segregationists, and assimilationists.
Yeah. Have you heard of this? Is Kim.
Sorry, that was a sidetrack.
I know,
didn't
yeah,
mean to- you just said anti-racist. That's
I
what
just
I was just reading
tasted
about.
that. That's so good.
It's amazing. Just real quick, it's you're actually anti-racist are the people I believe are all equal, but you think you're fighting racists. You're actually fighting two. You're fighting racists separate, the like we should whatever, and then you're also fighting assimilationists who are like, no, black people can be like white people,
Right.
or let's take it slow. You're actually fighting two forces at once, not
see.
just one on one.
I see.
Yeah. So
I
that's what
see.
it is. So
I
that's
see.
what's amazing about it
Ooh,
because
it's
it
not a
opened up my
one-on-one
eyes.
thing.
You know, it's not, Che. It's not Che should just be Che. Che should try to be more white, or Che should not be in our neighborhood.
Oh, that's in the prologue. That's not even like you're not even reading the book.
You're
yet.
not
That's
in
literally
the
just the
substance,
prologue. Yeah.
Ooh, what that reminds me is I once reading about how the United States likes to get into this way of viewing situations that is victim, hero, and villain.
Yeah.
So we'll pick a
100%.
dictator and say that person's a villain, and we're saving those victims over there. But we
We're always saving
always
them.
cast ourselves as the hero.
Always.
Always the hero.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And it's not that way. It's never one way that way.
No, it's
and
never
ask
one
those
way.
people if they're victims. Ask them. And,
Yeah.
and then ask them who they're victims of.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll agree with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What happened on
Yeah.
Sunday?
Oh my goodness. This person was heckling, and this person is a comedian's cousin. And so the interesting things came up there. But she had been heckling, and then when it was my
So it was a
time to
female?
go.
It was a female.
Yeah.
Okay. Because last time it was a man, for those listening.
And listen.
so heckling is any gender can heckle.
Oh, it's so true. You hear heckle, it starts with he, but no.
Mostly
no.
it's she.
Yeah.
I've had more she hecklers than he
yeah.
hecklers.
I experienced that similarly, and female hecklers tend to be doing what I see as beauty rank and file with me, where like it's uncomfortable if all of your merit revolves around you being a cute girl. It's uncomfortable for you sitting on that bar stool to see me up on the stage holding court.
Yeah.
Like that, you deserve all the attention that I worked to get right here. And so I do frequently see that. And like, I don't think that I've ever seen just like an average person. It's always someone who's trying to be flashy.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
so I don't want to sound like a bitter old lady who's like, you out here trying to get male attention. Listen, get yours, but stay away from mine. I
Right.
worked for mine. So she was sitting on the bar stool doing that. I call this a sing-along sort of person. They sing along with all the songs between the sets. They talk during all the sets, but they'll never sign up to do their own set.
course.
Only sing along. And she talked during my set, and she had on these hoop earrings. And I said, I see you, boo, wearing the earrings of my people. And she just started saying over and over again that she was Puerto Rican.
Okay.
And that was how I figured out that she was offended by the hoop earring thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just in parentheses, I'm from the South Bronx, y'all,
Yeah.
which is basically Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Which it's like, I know that's arrogant for me to
No.
say that. I needed to laugh so your audience knows that I don't really think the Bronx is Puerto Rico. Because people think Puerto Rico's another country. So I need to be clear. But this thing, I mean, basically this person is unstable. And I knew because of how I've learned, if someone appears to hate me during my set, I used to go and try to talk to them afterwards.
Right.
But that's not, I'm a comedian. I'm not a therapist. I'm
Right.
not a community builder. I'm not
Yeah.
any of that stuff. So I stayed away from her. She came up to me. And again, I'm from the South Bronx. I know what it looks like when somebody's like coming to you for a fight. And she came to me with these inauthentic apologies about heckling. I opened my mouth to answer, and she interrupted, saying, I'm just not I did a great job, y'all. I walked away.
Yeah.
And then she kept escalating. Another comedian was there, and he said to her, have you ever heard of gaslighting? Like, he was trying to de-escalate her, but whatever was upsetting to her about the dynamics in that room, like, she couldn't handle it. Got louder. I pointed for her to leave, and then she started jumping on the furniture at Fergie's trying to get me.
She
Seriously,
She was like climbing the men. There were about 3 or 4 men keeping her away from me, and I didn't stand down, y'all. My hands were sore for like 3-4 days from clapping. I did not stand down.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't run up on her. I just waited, but I stood clapping and waiting for her to break free. And she did break free like multiple times of all these men climbing on the tables, climbing on the chairs, trying to get to me. Yeah.
So just asking a question, just like, in stand-up, she was quote unquote cute, like.
Yes, but she's inspired me to make a bit that's like, man, y'all better stop making these average people feel, because she's not. I know beauty, and I know my jawline will erase her. But she's been allowed to. Yes,
I just flexed my jaw right there. It's like,
you know what I mean? We got jawlines in here, and I didn't see these features on her, but I see she's the sort of person.
I didn't see these features.
She wasn't interesting to me. She called attention to herself by entitlement.
You know, I don't know. Whenever society puts a person on a pedestal by their looks, that individual is never quite right.
How is she gonna be right? Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that we have these Instagram models, those people will never be right. Like my girlfriend works with so many attractive women who at 25 are getting collagen in their mouth and their face because if they slightly feel like society has stopped validating them, they need to change. It's like, it's mean. It's just mean.
I watched this woman leave the restaurant. Well, she didn't. It took forever for her to leave. Her and her friend had, not an exaggeration, about 10, 15 minutes of them just taking pictures of each other before they left the restaurant. And they were posing, and she was like, you know, put your butt like this, put your foot back like this, and doing all these things. I was like, what for what? For 10, 15 likes on the gram? Like, what are you doing? She sat there and just took all these pictures. Like, how much do you need to be affirmed and validated?
Yeah.
Just because you had dinner at this okay restaurant that no one really talks about, you know, like.
And this girl just could not just sit there and allow herself to just be ones amongst the rest.
One amongst the rest.
She had to be something extra.
Especially because she did do it with everybody, but she didn't try to fight everybody, though. So it was really, I'm like, what about me upset you so much? And I've seen this in white men. I was in Mount Airy, and a white man came in late during my set, and I could see him antsy. Why do I get to hold
Well, you know what's
court
interesting, though,
in
is,
Mount
like,
Airy?
out of everybody, because, like, we all know who's in the Philly comedy scene.
Yeah.
So out of everybody she picked a fight with, she picked it with you. Which,
Why?
For me, it's like, you're one of the last people I'd want to pick the fight. I want the small little white girl.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the one I would get mad at, if anything.
Exactly.
If I was in her position. But, yeah.
She's
and
from a rural area where she's the most hood person she knows.
Did she know at this point that Brian that you were with Brian?
I believe.
Because I know you say it during a lot of sets.
I frequently talk about
my
so
it's like, if
I
you were
want
up
the
there
audience.
saying,
He's right behind the bar in that John. Like,
for you guys who don't know Kat's boyfriend, dude's a big boy, y'all.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
I would not want anything to do
He's
with
big, and the law protects him, see? Where it doesn't protect me, the law
You two both doing that,
has
keep
him.
your enemies close thing. I feel you.
Having a white girlfriend does present its pluses.
Between us, we're going to have some rights.
I got white parents.
Yeah.
What's that?
I got white parents.
You got, yeah.
Oh, well, but, that becomes very confusing because the world is like,
It's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't show up to the country club without them.
Yeah.
Was Brian trying to hold it back, too? Was he there in that situation?
Brian stood, because she kept breaking free, Brian stood closer to me. Also, I was like, this is diabolical. Like, one of the people holding her back accidentally got a handful of breast. And I know I sound like a woman with internalized misogyny, but I was like, what a diabolical technique to just throw your woman parts on them. So they can't stop you. They freak out, and then you can go do whatever you want.
Is that what she really did? She was like,
there was a lot of like,
I'm going chest first.
And they're like, ooh, it's like hot potato.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So she did
goodness.
a lot of that stuff.
No cops called, nothing.
No cops.
Of
It's a
course not.
regret I have.
No,
it's a
of
regret
course
I
not.
have because I've told myself that if that level of violence happens again, I'm gonna call the cops.
Yeah.
It was the end of I've told myself I would. So it's a regret I have because when that sort of behavior happens, I do want it documented.
Yeah.
At this point, I've let, we've
What is
community
it about
handled
like that
things.
time? It's like 1:00 in the morning. It's like
Yeah.
and
It's
out of all like you're
gremlin
gonna start it
time.
now.
It's gremlin time.
We can't do this at
Yeah.
like 8 p.m.
And there are so
During
many
sign-ups.
rules.
We can't do this at a
during
reasonable
sign-ups.
time.
Yeah. You got to know
Fight
when
for
it's
a
your
spot.
territory.
Yeah.
And then I want to say to people who like really feel like they need to fight me, check yourself. That's so stupid. I'm a black woman. I am older. If you decide to fight me, you are doing exactly what the books you don't read are talking about. Like you are doing exactly that. You are being it rolling downhill. Like that is what you are doing.
I'm starting to realize too that as people of color, man, on that stage, I don't know what's gonna get me banned.
No.
I don't know. Like I've stopped. What's also diabolical about this comedy industry? I guess the industry in total. It's just that they don't even have to tell you why. They just have to just not call you.
You just
They'll
stop
just cancel
getting
you.
booked.
They'll just
There's
stop getting booked.
not even a communication.
There's not even a communication. Listen, because they won't tell you, hey, listen, you make people uncomfortable with your black words. They can't say that to you. So they just be like, we
You
just
know,
don't
when you
have.
code switch, we all get a
We,
little.
you know, so that's the thing. Like, I have recordings of just white men just standing up, and be like, "I'm done with you. I'm gonna go talk to somebody. I'm done with you. Done with me. Like, you're done with me.
Wow.
I'm sorry that you put up with me as long as you did.
I'm done with
I'm
you.
done with you. Are the
were
words he
telling me
said.
like so after our episode last month, he gave me a ride home and we were having a great conversation.
Show off.
And you
I
were
see you got
telling-
quality time with you.
I didn't. My car was broken down. I told you I can't fix it. I don't know. I was at the shop. I drove it to the garage.
Yeah, it does look right.
That's what it was. No, you were saying how people were telling you how you come off as like super aggressive and all this. I was like, I've watched you for 2 years now, and you've never once seemed aggressive to
Not
me.
to you.
100%.
Like-
I'm right there with you. There. What about your performances? I'm really.
I have the joke where I talk about white people are actually going through a white genocide because they're sleeping outside their own culture. You know, and I do like that kind of joke. That was one that made this white guy goes like, "I'm done with you."
That's aggressive.
That's aggressive. Yeah, it's a fact. White people are becoming the minority in this country through reproducing with people of color, and that's just a fact. He didn't like that. I've spoken about, you know, it's unbelievable. Or like, look, I think I've noticed this too. Like, what's crazy is this country really is black versus white, and anybody who kind of identifies anything else is like, what are you doing in this country talking about that? Like when I don't talk about immigration in the sense that I talk about it like, these are the laws and I hate the president. I talk about it as like, these are how the laws affect me personally, and it's to white people, it's like, well, if you don't like it, then why are you here? You know what I mean? It's in their mind. It's the old thing that they can't say to black people, and they can't say, go back to Africa. You can't say that. I mean, one time, Lincoln literally was funding Sierra Leone so he can put black people on ships and be like, if you don't want to be slaves, just go back.
Going
Like that
back.
that was you read that about it in the book. That was literally one of the tactics. Now with immigrants, especially Latinx people, they don't say go back to where you came from. But if I upset you, in their mind, they're like, if you don't like the laws here, if you were an immigrant for
Why
20
are
years,
you here?
why are you here? Do you know what I mean? They don't even hear the part where I talk about my mother trying to escape an abusive man. You know what I mean? That's why I'm
right.
here.
A
They
lot
won't
of
even hear
people,
that. They
they
just be
don't-
like, well, then why'd your mom not just divorce
Not
him?
that you should even have to justify that, because if you don't like it, white person, why are you here?
Exactly.
Because this is indigenous people land. That's what this is. So
Yeah,
if you don't like
yeah,
hearing
yeah.
from the people from whom you
Yeah.
took the land, why do you continue to appropriate
White
the
people can
land?
very easily say, my grandfather's from Germany. I'm like, all right, so go back to Germany.
Yeah.
Go back. You don't like it? You don't like me talking
Yeah.
here? Go back to Germany.
My
Oh.
family came here from Germany and worked hard for everything, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had-
Take it back.
I had a girl who was saying the same thing about, you know, the opposite. She was like saying how she hates white people and all this. I was like, but you're white. She was like, yeah, but I'm Spanish from Spain. I was like,
It don't work like that, honey, but that's
position?
cute. That's
Spanish
you
is
heard
a
of it?
language. It's a language,
Yeah.
and Spanish
was
people
saying
are
that
actually
she's-
the most
Yeah,
atrocious people
that's-
in this
what-
hemisphere.
I said that to her. I was like, but have you heard of the Spanish Inquisition, right?
Yeah.
And you could just see her like just stop and like the wheels start turning in her head, and then she just got all huffy with me and like
Yeah.
just
Wait a
went
minute,
to the
she
other side of the
believed
phone.
in what she was saying to
She-
you? She believed that
she
she
really
could
was
ident-
From
that
Spain,
she's
she
like-
wasn't white. That she was more
she wasn't
Latina.
white. I was like, you were white. You have long black hair. You got. I was like, you are
Yeah.
I was like, and I don't hate you for it, but like you understand what you're saying
I
is.
understand you the problem.
Yeah, like that's
I'm
not saying you personally are the problem, but like the people you're rebelling against
that
are your
people.
ancestors.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
know. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I also like.
She doesn't talk to me anymore. we're regulars at the same bar. She
I
does
will
not
jump
talk
in
to
and
me.
say that I do think that making peace with white identity is important for white people and
White
for
people-
I
all
tell
people.
people
Like
do
actually do that.
so badly.
Yeah.
They do not understand
Yeah.
that you like, I don't want to talk about race, I don't want to do this. It's like you're helping. Again,
Yeah.
assimilationists are like, why do we have to talk about it? Why can't we all just be harmonious?
Remember-
Yet you live in your white neighborhoods and never once talk about the money that your ancestors stole. If we don't talk about that, if you don't want to have those kind of conversations with me,
Yes.
then you're literally useless.
Yes.
Or you're helping the status quo remain.
Yes, and your omission is communication.
Your
so
omission
when you
is
are not
communication.
talking about it, you are actually communicating.
Like Republicans right now being like, I'm not too sure if Trump did something bad or not. By saying I'm
How
not
are
too
you not too
sure,
sure?
you're helping prop up his evil.
Ooh, and you're helping prop up dishonesty in the world. We are getting further and further from truth. I think an important thing to humanity is actually understanding the
Yeah.
difference between truth and rhetoric.
Yeah.
But they are using rhetoric to create real life. I really am concerned for humanity right now.
You know what's funny? I like to go back.
Alternative facts.
Yeah, and we're seeing the danger of them. This
Yeah.
is the world. This is
Yeah.
our peril in the world because people who lack courage are using rhetoric to hide from their responsibility.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you want to take a small break and then we're good? Okay.
I'm trying to get Dylan the Holy Ghost. I want him jumping up and down in the.
He's snapping.
No, it's true. Like, the people who just like take things slow are just as culprit as the, like that's what I hate when people will go, yeah, I voted for Trump, but I don't condone everything he does. No, man, that vote behind that curtain is you're putting your essence. That vote to me is your essence in motion.
At least on that particular vote, there's a whole lot of, I don't know none of these people. I'm going to just check off the Democrat. There's a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
I know we're not perfect at how we vote. But the Trump vote
Yeah.
was a statement.
And to
for
try
everybody who
and be like,
cast
well,
it.
that's him, not me. No, that's your essence in motion. That's you, man. You can't walk away from that. Be like, I only like his tax plan. You have to like it all or nothing.
First of all, what tax plan? But also,
Yeah.
not that I even read that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I recognize that the campaign promises are not contracts.
Right.
And so
Yeah, that's
the
true.
factual
Yeah.
promises they make are one thing. But like, sadly, it kind of is, how do you make the world feel? Do you make us feel in peril? Do you make us feel like at any moment we could be the outsider? And with Trump, nobody's safe.
Yeah.
No, wealthy white men are not safe with Trump. Like,
Yeah.
nobody is safe with him. I honestly don't get it. Except
it's crazy.
fear. I don't get the
It's
support.
crazy now. There's
don't get it
this. I hate bringing up this person as an example, but he is just right all the time. Dave Chappelle,
Go ahead.
back in 2001, what was his "Killing Him Softly" stand up? You know what year I'm talking about?
01, probably around there. Yeah.
Anyway, he has a bit where he talks about how when he votes for politicians, he doesn't pay attention to what they're talking about. He just
Yeah.
says, I just judge them on their character.
Yeah.
And back then, as a child, I was like, well, shouldn't you like pay attention? I mean, even as an adult, I'm like, shouldn't you pay attention? But now, you're right. It's like, no, like you gotta, like, don't listen to what they're saying because
Yeah.
they're not promises. What is their character? Like, how do they come off to you?
Yeah.
And if that like moves something inside of you positively, then yeah, you should go with your gut. But everybody knew Trump, and they were like, oh, and people still voted for him.
And that's what makes it their essence, because what he moved in them, they liked having that move again. After nearly a decade of feeling like they couldn't speak freely about their hatred, they were excited to give away bigotry.
Auschwitz just had its 75-year anniversary since they released and they asked one of the people who actually was kept in that camp, what is the world that we live in now with the resurgence of Nazi and white nationalists, what scares you the most? And his word was just complacency.
There it is.
Just when people are like, that doesn't affect me, so I'm just going to go to work, that's the biggest danger, because then you could just be like, I don't care, but there are people being affected even though you say, I don't care.
But sometimes, like, and
It doesn't matter how much you say, I don't care, it doesn't bother me. people are being affected, and your complacency causes evil to grow.
And then what causes our complacency to go, I'm sorry, millennials and younger, is this automation of the brain. I've been walking around saying people think they know but don't know they think. It's really important for us to remember that we think.
I feel like an old person when like I'm somewhere, like I'll go to like a doctor's office or something, and I'll bring my book, like I'll bring like a Common Wind or whatever I'm reading, and I look up and there's literally 20 people just scrolling through Facebook, and I'm like, that's 20 dead brains. I'm sorry, to me that's 20 dead brains who just don't really care, because I'm reading a book about how societies go and how revolutions start, and I'm like, oh, I understand what's happening around the world. Scrolling through like, oh, look at this cool video, look at this meme, you're not just shutting off your brain from the moment, you're shutting off your brain from the collective that is literally affecting you, even though you're like, no, I'm just on Facebook. The collective is affecting you.
Yes, and the technology is now doing the very thing that you are not doing. So I'm not thinking.
It's thinking for you.
Yeah, the technology is doing the thinking. So in that moment,
It's
the
telling
algorithms
you
are getting better while
what you
I'm
should
getting
think.
dumber.
Yeah.
This is the
man.
Terminator.
Yeah.
We know this.
But I would like it if a Terminator was one giant machine. No, the Terminator is idiots at Silicon Valley being like,
There it
we're
is.
gonna numb these people,
There it is.
and we're still in power
For profit.
for profit.
Because we can make money off of that.
People don't realize, they're like, oh, this is how the algorithm works. This is how the algorithm works. It's like, man wrote that algorithm. That's a human invention.
Yeah.
So we can tailor that algorithm to show you whatever they want
There it is.
to show you.
Yeah.
There's a stand-up comedian, I don't know his name. I saw him at Raven a couple of times, and he was saying how his job is literally to monitor people's search history and then report that to his ISP, like his people, and then he doesn't know what they do with it. He knows what they do.
Yeah.
They could do anything with it. That's the thing about the information age. We actually don't fully comprehend the implications of having all of this data out there. It's just waiting for motives. It's just waiting for,
And that's the thing too, that like I feel like my whole life, I've always been ostracized because I refuse to pick a camp. And with social media, it makes you pick a camp and then easier to re-justify, like your ideals, like, like, oh yeah, like if you think that black people are just making this stuff up, you can see enough reports of a few black people who have been caught in lies, and then in your head it just justifies everything. I've never been someone to pick a camp. I've always been someone to be like, I'm gonna go off my feelings at the end of the day, and I'm not just gonna go off like, that's why my family hates me, because I can't live in a code of silence the way they do. Do you know what I mean? That's why my girlfriend's family hates me, because I refuse to live in a code of silence the way they do. So that's the issue. Like,
and then that's why I adore you.
I
make that noise. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Honestly, it's something that I've noticed that I'm very alone in my personal life.
I get it.
But I can't be too sad because I stand up for myself. And how bad is that I'm alone because I keep standing up for myself?
Because you got you.
Yeah, because I got me. Yeah. It's heartbreaking, and that's what talking about, like going back to entertainment. That's the thing that I feel like has been even meaner, is the fact that, like, I envy white dudes that they could be political. And they get on shows like the Daily Show, Colbert, all that stuff.
And people will take it from them.
And people will take it from them. But I've been political, and never has somebody looked at me and be like, that guy should be writing for that show. It's the Latinx community is not gelling the way it should be. We don't prop each other up. And I'm sorry, and I'll say this 1,000 times. Like, yes, I see, and I hate to say this because I feel like I'm being so mean to my fellow comedians, but the ones who get propped up are coonish. Do you know what I mean? They make the masses feel comfortable, and they go, I'm doing it, why can't you? And because I don't do it like you. And because I don't do it like you, I don't get propped up. Do you know what I mean? The amount of time that somebody have told me, I hate to use this comedian because I love him. I don't want to say his name, but oh God, I feel like I should, because then you'll know who I'm talking about, but then I shouldn't.
Look, you can play it safe if you want.
Look, there's a comedian that he is funny. He is funny. I get him, but the guy is funny because he's loud. I'm doing this. I drink. He's black. He's funny because he's willing to put on a dress. And people have told me, Che, if you want to make it, just be like X. And I'm like, X is funny. But why is it X is the only kind of funny you're willing to accept in mainstream?
It is, yeah.
From a brown person. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm funny. I'm cerebral. You know how many people come like, yeah, you're so smart. Okay, are you gonna tell people about me? Good luck.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, I did that joke at Frankie Bradley's the other night about adoption versus indoctrination.
oh
and,
snap.
No, and so at this point in the night, it was a black room, right?
Yeah.
And everybody laughed and understood the joke. I've done that joke in white rooms, and it does not land
Yeah.
at all because they don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear
They don't wanna
indoctrination.
that.
They don't want to hear
here's
that.
the
They're
thing.
indoctrinated.
When we say that, I'm not. What I want to go ahead and add is I've chosen comedy as the craft, which means whatever you bring audience, it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
That don't mean I'm not mad at it. It's like a teacher with a room full of bad kids. But but you're a great audience. We love you. Keep buying tickets, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm willing to accept that different people can accept different things, and then I have to figure out how to reach you, people who will never listen. But I notice all of this stuff that's happening.
So you're talking about Dave Chappelle being like, I don't go by your words, I go by like your
Yeah, he
your
was
actions.
talking about the Clinton presidency. when
My
he was-
girlfriend's family do things that show me so much how of how white people think that they don't even realize it. Like I went to this is amazing. I went to New Orleans, right? And I was reading the Malcolm X book, and for some reason, every time they didn't know I was reading it like in the room whenever everybody was sleeping, and I left it on the kitchen table turned upside down, right? And Amy's mother comes by.
That's a courtesy leave. You're
That's
like,
a courtesy
I won't
leave.
leave it
Upside
in-
down, because in the back it doesn't say anything. It says like the words by. Actually, it says Alex, the guy who wrote it.
Yeah.
So this is what she does. I swear
Portrait
to
of
the
the
camera.
author.
The camera's on me. Check this out. Check this out. This is what she goes. She goes, Che, what are you reading? No. That right there told me exactly how white people feel about me every day. What are you joking about? No. Excuse me. They can't leave the room, but in their mind they're like, no. She said no. All she read was Malcolm X,
And it came out of
And
her.
it came
just
like
shot out.
racist, hates white people.
Yeah.
No.
That demon jumped right up out of her. You
And
see
I
that?
was like, wow, that was such a fast reaction. You told me everything I need to know about how white people think about me in just that moment. And if you tell me, if you think I'm crazy, of course they'll tell me I'm crazy. They'll be like, no, why would you think that I'm... Because you reacted to that, to the name Malcolm X.
And what you're saying to her is basic, like, mental health, cognitive, like, psych principles about how the brain works.
Yeah.
I saw your reaction to that book, and I now know what unconscious stuff is dwelling within
Yeah.
white people in my audience.
And then she goes, why don't you read my book? And she gives me The Girl on the Train. I'm like, of course it is. A white woman who kills someone. Okay. Like that's...
I mean, how could it be whiter? The girl and the what?
The girl on the train.
at the lacrosse
White
game?
people White people
The suburban mom with the
stories.
Chardonnay.
There we go.
It took me a minute. I was like, wait, what are the words? What are the words?
You know what's weird? It's like how white people don't want to talk about what their ancestors have done to, how many cultures around the world.
Right.
But the modern white person can't get enough of these murder mysteries. Every it's like somebody murders somebody. So it's like, do you guys not see? It's like you don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to say what I'm saying,
No,
but like,
actually,
you know what I'm saying though?
Dylan, real quick.
It's
you can
everything
just
is
put
a
up the
murder
picture of Kobe
mystery.
real quick. Somebody last night. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just like,
Oh, no, you
just
cool,
a
you
perfect
cool.
time. There was somebody last night named Martin Morrow. Marrow, he's a comic out of LA who it's a picture of Kobe. I would just come up. He talked about how as soon as Kobe died, white women were like, "So you're supporting a rapist?" And Martin wrote, "Okay, why is it that black men are automatically considered evil when they do one thing wrong, but white women will sit on Netflix and be like, "Oh, I want to watch the John H. Gacy or all these cute
new-
murderers."
Aaron
Oh, he's
Hernandez
so
thing just
handsome.
came
How
out.
could
and
he
it
Who's
was-
that? Who's that other one? The one that they were all obsessed about. I was like, oh, he
Making
was
a-
handsome.
Bundy?
Making a murderer?
No, not Bundy. Was it Bundy?
The one that
Brendan Dacy, the Making a Murderer thing?
No, he was kind of like an attractive white dude.
Oh, with the Zac Efron, they made that movie.
It was a documentary. All the girls.
The cat one? Which one?
I forget.
I know.
But you gotta realize, like,
I'm gonna Google
but
this.
these women, like, at one point there was this, I forgot what it was, but it was a documentary about this white guy, very attractive, killed a bunch of women, and even though he did that. There was still some women go like, "Ooh, I let him choke me."
It's similar to the Ted Bundy story. It's like, and he
Is it
could
Ted Bundy?
actually
It might be
walk
Ted Bundy.
into court and
Yeah, exactly.
walk
It was.
about how he
It was Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
It was Ted
is
Bundy.
that
You're right.
guy?
It was
Yeah.
Ted Bundy. It was Ted
Yeah.
Bundy. Yes.
It's just that, I think there's such a difference between the name Ted and the name Bundy, which
Yeah.
is fascinating. I think Bundy sounds more like a murderer, and so
Yeah.
I use that. Sorry if your last name is Bundy. But it
No,
just
Ted
does.
sounds about
Yeah.
right there.
Ted sounds
gentle.
about right. Yeah.
You shouldn't trust a Ted.
You never- no.
I just met a Ted at Punchline. Now I'm scared.
like him.
Yeah.
No, he was nice. He had nice glasses.
But it was like, it was this guy, and then of course, and then women were still calling him a genius, and then it's like he's not a genius. First of all, he lived before social media. All right, he used his good look, and he was very sloppy with his murders.
because you're
So he
dumb-
was so you're calling him a genius when he
No,
was
no,
really just a murdering dude.
Just because they're dumb doesn't make him a genius. You know, like,
well, they're not dumb. Like,
Well-
what do you mean, like which? hold on.
some of the tactics he used to like lure women was like I don't know.
No, but he used them at a
in-
time when they
maybe-
used them
I
at a
was gonna say,
time,
you know
you
what,
gotta
I guess
realize,
in
yeah.
retrospect,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
I guess in retrospect it seems some, but only because now we know about it.
Exactly.
This was so amazing. The chosen women of Ted Bundy, like those, there's such an empathy opportunity for them. Like now you know what it's like to be preyed upon when you don't deserve it and
Yeah.
you don't expect it. There's such an opportunity for people to just identify with other marginalized people. You didn't expect to be taken captive. You didn't expect your land to be colonized, and this awful thing happened to you. And what people do instead with Ted Bundy is identify with him. That's been a gross thing I've been seeing in society is people identifying with predator
Yeah.
over the person that you should be able to empathize with more. There's a bizarre
Yeah,
thing.
and that's what Martin was trying to get at. It's like, yes, Kobe had this moment in his life that we understand, but the thing is that as a person of color, you misstep, and then it's easier to call you a monster and push you out of society and never redeem you. But your white counterparts are redeemable day in and day out. I mean, our president. You redeem him as a white culture day in, day out, no matter how much of a monster he is, how much he's keeping kids in cages, how much he's doing all these things. But, I'm not trying to like defend Kobe. I wasn't a basketball fan. I wasn't anything, I understand that
It
for
wasn't my impulse, and it's a typical white impulse. I will go ahead and say this, and black people said it about Michael Vick, and I actually polled people in my life and walked around asking people about Michael Vick, and it was clear in Philadelphia. White people were disgusted, enraged, infuriated. Some people of color were upset, but like by and large, black people were over it. He did his time. He paid his penalty.
Yeah.
Whether or not they cared about the dogs, because some black people were like, I don't care about them dogs. But he did his time. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's play football.
I
and
know.
It's happening here.
I know that it doesn't matter how much I've educated myself. Like currently, I'm in school trying to better myself and everything. I know that if I ever get to a point, they're just gonna bring those 28 years where Che was a street kid out. They're gonna bring it out, and they're never gonna see me as a human because it's easier to tear me down than it is to be like he's a human who literally came from the slums of a DR. No guidance in his life, abusive father, alcoholic mother and father. They'll never see that. They'll just see, well, he should have known better.
It's off. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of ways to talk about this impulse, but the way I feel like talking about it, because that sounds like jealousy, but I think what we're also describing, like with the Kobe thing, and like Ari Schaefer went in on him, and then there's a story of Ari Schaefer having death threats. So like now
Yeah.
Ari Schaefer is being victimized by it.
Hold
But
on,
there
hold on.
is.
Is it Schaefer or Shafir?
Oh, sorry.
Shafir. Ari Shafir, yeah, Ari Shafir.
Oh,
It's okay.
That was very disrespectful.
It's spelled the same.
Kind of like the way you talked about that deceased man
No.
who died alongside his daughter on an airplane, Mr. Schaefer. Kind of like that.
Yeah, no, because
So
there's also a comic
disrespectful.
who's Sarah Schaefer who spelled the same way as Shafir.
As Shafir,
So you
yeah.
just pronounce it like, yeah.
Interesting.
And I don't
Yeah.
even defend Kobe all like that. But I think what people need to know is that we recognize it. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Please.
Part of whiteness is an insatiable hunger for marginalized flesh. And that used to be something to which whiteness was entitled in this country and around the world. And now whiteness can't have it.
Stand
and that
from the
hunger
beginning.
is still there.
Stand from the beginning is you have to check out this
Yeah,
book. I
I
mean,
got
you're
you.
already so knowledgeable and stuff, but it is about how every time people of color start to progress, the white dynamic shifts their racism to guide it to another place. You know what I mean? Black people
100%.
black people are like, we want to be free. Well, you weren't so great in Africa. Yes, we were. You're just not showing our history books. Do you know what I mean? Well, if you're free, you're gonna be monsters. No, we're not. We're loving in captivity. You don't think we're gonna be loving in freedom? Like, it's always shifting as to why people of color can't control themselves. When they're the ones who can't control themselves.
And you've just described it. That information game is one of the ways that we get gobbled up,
Did you
like
see
the
what they just did
misinformation
with
game.
the,
You drown out the truth.
The debates? Apparently, they just changed the rules so Bloomberg could be in the political
In the debate,
debates.
yeah. Before it had to be a certain amount, which all people of color were out because they didn't get the percentage. And now that Bloomberg's in, they're gonna flip it back. Now that all people of color except Andrew Yang fell off, now they changed it so Bloomberg could be in, and the people of color can't.
I just
So
read
you see-
this yesterday,
you see,
so I
like-
haven't looked into it too much.
Yeah, that's what it is. They changed it, and then they're like, "What are you doing? Like, you can't just change the rules now, a month out, just so he can be in one debate when you've changed this so people of color could not be on any of the debates."
This is why we gotta stop scrolling, because scrolling makes us dumb. It drains your brain. There's too much important information out here that we gotta follow. I don't want to follow these debates. I don't want to follow that much. You know, like there are other things I'm trying to do, but we gotta gotta get our minds
Listen, this is
back
gonna
to
sound
thinking.
totally arrogant, but I feel super above people for the fact that I do read. I'm real with you. I'll be like, we have such an amazing capacity to learn and understand and have like these different kind of relationships. I actually go out to bars and socialize with people. I have like whenever Amy and I go to a bar, she's like, "Do you want to sit at the table?" I go, "No, let's sit at the bar." So we can talk to people because I want to converse and I want to share my ideas because I have a mind worth sharing.
We are out among people.
You know,
Let's do
I
this.
want to do that. That's why I will never stop doing comedy, because the fact that I can have an idea presented to the masses helps me as an individual understand the world a little better.
Ooh. I did some research into stereotype threat, and one way to address it, I thought about you so much,
Yeah.
is like what you've just said. Like, I have struggles that will sometimes remind me of my identity. But stereotype threat. I haven't defined it for your audience. Y'all Google it. But what you've just said.
No, please, just say one
So
thing.
when
and we'll finish
you
on this.
know that you are bringing something of value, that can actually create a sense of belonging in you, even if you are from an outside group. That experience of what I have has value for everyone makes you a part of a group, a community.
I just feel like, I said this before, I feel like it's going to be cocky, but I'm definitely going to be appreciated after I'm gone.
Oh, word.
Because I feel like people
feel
right
so
now
that way.
don't want to give me the shot. And even, like, when I tell people,
Jay,
like, listen to my
I
album.
appreciate you right now.
Thank you.
Just so you know.
Thank
I
you.
went right to the death thing.
Real
I was
quick.
like, yeah, Nick.
I just want to promote real quick before we get out of here. I just want to promote something. Speaking unfortunately of passing, but I am February 17th, 8 p.m. City Winery. I'm officially taking over Chris Cotton's show that he left before his passing. It'll be on to me, and I want to do
Sets
right
in the
by the
City.
show. So please, if you can come out and promote,
I like that
come
name.
out.
I like that
Sets in the
name.
City.
I chuckled once. I was
it.
like, yeah.
He kept it, and February 17th, we're going to do it every month. And I actually want to do it as a way to bring a big headliner and give Philly comics the opportunity to open for someone major that they're not getting opportunities to at the local clubs with their own voice.
Ooh.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm rolling over money every month to get some big names and get local guys to open for big names in a space that they normally wouldn't. And I don't care what your material is. I want you to be yourself. So
I
we're
love
keeping
that.
We're keeping
love
that
that.
alive. Anything you guys want to promote real quick before we get out of here?
I booked a show for March 13th. I just don't have the details yet. But
You'll be back next month.
I was gonna do this Valentine's show, and then the producer overbooked it, so I got bumped.
Don't worry. I'm sure you'll be back next month to promote.
That's the game, y'all. That's how it is.
Anything, Kat?
Catch Broad Humor at Dirty Frank's on February 10th at 8:30.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We didn't get to the topics, man. That was beautiful. I loved it. That was
I
so.
got 3 more hours to go. We gotta
Thank you
go.
guys.
I don't work till 4.
We'll be back next month. Thank you, Dylan, as always.
Thank you for tuning in to American Immigrant with your host and comedian, Che Guerrero. American Immigrant can be heard each and every Saturday afternoon from 5 to 6 p.m., as well as a rebroadcast of this episode every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m., as well as Thursdays from 2 to 3 p.m., right here on Usala Media.